Have you ever scrolled through a home on Pinterest or Instagram, stared at it for a solid 30 seconds and thought, what is it about this room that just works? You can see the furniture is nice, but it's not exceptionally expensive. The color palette is relatively simple. There's nothing in it you couldn't find at a dozen different stores. And yet something about it feels elevated, calm, intentional, almost like the room itself is breathing. And then you look around your own living room, which has all the right pieces, maybe even nicer pieces, and something about it feels off. Cluttered, maybe. Busy, like it's trying too hard. You've bought the throws and the candles and the accent pillows and the carefully chosen artwork, and somehow the more you add, the further away you get from the feeling you were chasing in the first place. Here is what nobody in the home content world is saying clearly enough. The thing that makes those Pinterest-perfect rooms work is not what is in them. It is what isn't. And understanding that single principle will completely change how you see every room you walk into for the rest of your life, including your own. We are going to get to exactly what that principle is in just a moment. But first, I want to explain why this is something most people never figure out, even after years of consuming home content. Because the reason is actually fascinating, and it has to do with how the decorating industry is structured. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will look at a beautiful room and immediately understand the invisible architecture holding it together. And you will know exactly what to do differently in your own home to create the same effect. According to a 2023 report from the Home Furnishings Association, American households spend an average of $2,400 per year on home decor and furnishings. That is not renovation costs. That is not appliances. That is purely decorative purchases. New pillows, new throws, new art, new accent pieces, new storage baskets, new plants, new candles. $2,400 a year on things meant to make a home feel better. And for a significant portion of the people spending that money, the room still doesn't feel the way they want it to feel. More stuff arrives and the room still feels like something is missing, which leads most people to the obvious conclusion: they just haven't found the right stuff yet. So they keep looking. And the decorating industry, which is worth over $130 billion annually in the United States alone, is built entirely on that conclusion continuing indefinitely. But what if the problem was never that you had the wrong things? What if the problem was that you had too many of the right things? This is the principle that trained interior designers understand instinctively and almost never explain in plain language to the people they work for. It is called negative space. And it is not a design trend. It is not a style or an aesthetic. It is a fundamental principle of visual perception that has been documented in art, architecture, graphic design, and psychology for over a century. Negative space is simply the empty or unoccupied areas within a space. The wall between two pieces of art, the open surface of a coffee table, the floor visible between a sofa and a bookcase, the breathing room around a single object on a shelf. It is the space that doesn't have anything in it. And it is, according to every serious designer who has studied how rooms actually feel, rather than just how they photograph, the single most important element in any beautiful room. Here is why this is hard to accept when you first hear it. Our instinct when decorating a room is additive. Something feels missing, so we add something. A corner looks bare, so we fill it. A shelf looks sparse, so we add more objects. A wall looks empty, so we hang something on it. Adding feels productive. Adding feels like progress. And every home store, every design account, every sponsored post, every holiday collection is designed to feed that additive instinct, because addition creates transactions. Nobody is selling you empty wall space. Nobody is making a commission on the decision to remove 3 objects from a shelf. The entire commercial ecosystem around home decor profits from the belief that your room needs more, which means nobody in that ecosystem has any incentive to tell you that what your room actually needs is less. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Negative space is not just aesthetically pleasing. There is documented psychological research explaining why empty space in a room affects how your nervous system responds to that environment. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that visual complexity in a living environment, meaning rooms with many objects competing for attention simultaneously, measurably increases cognitive load and perceived stress in the people occupying them. Your brain in a cluttered room is constantly processing competing visual stimuli, even when you are not consciously aware of it. It never fully rests. The room that feels calm and beautiful is not triggering that response because it is giving your visual system somewhere to land that isn't immediately redirected to something else. The empty wall, the clear surface, the open floor, these are not decorating failures. They are rest stops for your nervous system, and your brain registers them as luxury. This is why expensive spaces feel expensive even when you can't immediately identify why. High-end interior design, the kind you see in Architectural Digest features and luxury hotel lobbies, is almost always characterized by more space than stuff. The objects are fewer, the surfaces are cleaner, the walls have more breathing room between things. You walk in and your body immediately relaxes in a way it doesn't in a room where every surface is occupied and every wall is filled. What you are registering as expensive or sophisticated is not the objects, it is the space around them. Now here's the question that matters for your actual home. If negative space is the secret ingredient, how do you know how much you need? And more importantly, how do you figure out where yours has gone? Let me give you a visual framework that professional designers use because once you understand it, you will never unsee it in any room you look at. Think about a single bookshelf. Most people fill a bookshelf with books, right? Every slot occupied, every surface covered, maybe some decorative objects wedged between volumes. The shelf is full. The shelf also reads as visually chaotic because the eye has no place to rest and no hierarchy to follow. Everything is competing with everything else for equal attention. Now look at a bookshelf in a professionally designed room. There will be a grouping of books, then a gap, then a single object, then space, then another grouping. The objects aren't randomly distributed. They are arranged with deliberate empty space built into the composition. That space serves a function. It frames the objects around it. It tells your eye where to look. It creates visual rhythm, a term designers use to describe the way a room guides your attention from one point to another, with pauses in between. The same way music uses silence to make sound meaningful. Without the silence, everything just blurs together into noise. The same principle applies to every surface in your home. A coffee table with one tray, one candle, and one small stack of books has negative space around each element that allows the eye to actually register and appreciate each piece. A coffee table covered in 6 overlapping objects turns the entire surface into visual static. You stop seeing any individual thing because there is no space to isolate it. This is actually a well-documented phenomenon in visual psychology called crowding, the brain's inability to accurately perceive an object when it is surrounded by too many other objects at the same visual density. In plain language, when everything is displayed, nothing is seen. When you edit ruthlessly, what remains becomes visible. Now let's talk about walls, because this is where the most common and most costly negative space mistakes happen in American homes. According to interior design surveys, the #1 error homeowners make on their own is hanging art too high and grouping too many pieces too close together. Both mistakes eliminate the negative space that makes art actually work in a room. When pieces are hung too close, they collapse into a single visual mass, and the wall reads as decorated rather than curated. When there is generous space around a single piece, true breathing room, not just a 2-inch margin, that piece becomes a statement. It gains visual weight. It draws the eye intentionally rather than competing with everything around it for attention. The empty wall around it is not wasted wall, it is the frame. Here's a practical test you can do in your own home right now. Walk into your most decorated room and squint slightly, blurring your vision just enough that you can't read any labels or see any fine detail. You are now seeing the room the way your subconscious sees it, as a pattern of light, dark, occupied, and open. If your eye immediately jumps to 5 or 6 different places at once with nowhere to settle, you have a negative space problem. If your eye is gently drawn to 1 or 2 focal points and then finds calm open areas to rest between them, you have a room that is working. Most Americans, when they do this test honestly, discover their eye is jumping everywhere at once. The room is not leading them. It is overwhelming them. So what do you actually do about it? And this is where most design content gives you vague advice about editing your space, which is not actually helpful. Let me be specific. The single most effective thing you can do is remove before you add anything. Take everything off one surface. One shelf, one coffee table, one mantle, one entryway console, and put it all on the floor or on a temporary table. Then put back only the things that genuinely stop you. Not the things you paid a lot for, not the things that were gifts, not the things you've had for years and feel guilty about removing. The things that when you look at them individually and honestly, you think, that is actually beautiful. Put those back with deliberate space between them. Look at what you've built. Then look at what is still on the floor. The floor pile is almost certainly making your room feel busy. Most of it should probably leave the room entirely, donated, boxed, or moved to a less prominent location. The rule that professional stagers use, and it applies whether you are selling your home or simply trying to make it feel better to live in, is that most surfaces should feel approximately 60% occupied and 40% open. Not 90% occupied with a few inches of visible surface between objects. Genuinely 40% open, where the empty portion is as intentional as the occupied portion. When you first do this, it will feel almost uncomfortably spare. Your instinct will tell you something is missing. That feeling is the calibration adjusting. Give it 3 days and then look at the room again. Almost every person who tries this reports that the room feels dramatically more expensive, more calming, and more intentional than it ever did when it was full. There is one more layer to this that goes beyond the physical objects in your room, and it might be the most important thing in this entire video. Negative space is not just about what is on your surfaces. It is about the visual weight distribution of an entire room. Every object, every piece of furniture, every color and texture and pattern has visual weight, meaning it draws the eye and demands attention to a greater or lesser degree. A dark sofa has high visual weight. A light linen curtain has low visual weight. A gallery wall has very high visual weight. A single framed print has moderate visual weight. When you distribute high visual weight elements without enough low weight space between them, the room becomes visually exhausting. The eye never rests, the space never breathes. This is why rooms with dark paint on every wall, heavy furniture, and dense pattern on every surface feel oppressive, regardless of how beautiful each individual element is. There's nowhere for the eye to decompress between anchor points. The beautiful rooms on Pinterest that you can't stop looking at are almost always rooms where visual weight is distributed with restraint. One statement piece with space around it, one dominant color with neutral contrast, one pattern in a sea of solids. The restraint is not timidity. It is sophistication. It is the understanding that less presence creates more impact, that the object you display alone on a clear shelf commands 10 times more attention than the same object buried in a collection of 15 similar things. This is the thing that nobody says out loud in the home content world, because it is not commercially useful. The most significant improvement you can make to almost any room in your home costs nothing. It requires no new purchases, no renovation, no designer budget. It requires removing things, creating space, and then resisting the instinct to fill that space back up again. The room you have been trying to build with $2,000 a year in new purchases might already be in your home right now. It might just be buried under everything you bought while trying to find it. The next time you save a room on Pinterest and feel that pull, that sense of a space that is calm and beautiful and somehow just right, look at it differently than you have before. Don't ask what is in it. Ask what is not. Count the empty surfaces. Notice the walls with nothing on them. Find the places where the eye is allowed to simply rest without being redirected. That is what you are responding to. That is what you have always been responding to. And now that you can see it, you will never stop seeing it in the rooms you admire, in the rooms you live in, and in every decision you make about what stays and what finally, deliberately, purposefully goes. Dear viewer, if you found value in this video, like it and share it with friends and family. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell icon so that you will be notified every time we upload a new video. Thank you for watching until the end. We will see you in our next video. Until then, stay safe and stay blessed.